Now we're going to talk about a similar process, except this time instead of just the sum of consecutive numbers, we're going to say that the consecutive numbers all need to be either even or odd. So just to clarify, consecutive even numbers would be, choose an even number, I'll say 12, and then you want to ask yourself, what would the next even number be after 12 when you are counting? So that would be 14. You would be skipping 13 because that's odd. And then the next consecutive number after that would be 16. So if you were asked for the sum of 3 consecutive even numbers, you're going to be counting by twos, beginning with an even number. So in terms of x, if I were writing an equation out, my first number, whatever it is, whatever I'm trying to find, is always going to be x. And then I'm going to ask myself, the next number, how would I write that algebraically in terms of x? That means using x as part of the representation for this number. Well, if x is 12, 14 is not 12, but I can represent 14 by saying x plus 2. Because if x is 12, and I substitute 12 in for my x, 12 plus 2 does give me 14. So how would I represent my 16 then? Well, there's a couple different ways you can think of that. Again, going back to your x, you can say, well, what would I need to add to 12 to get all the way over to 16? Well, 12 plus 4 gives me 16. I could also think of this last number, if I had 3 of them, as the previous number, x plus 2. So I'm just taking this part and saying, well, it could be x plus 2, and then what do I add to 14 to get to 16? I add 2. So I could represent this third number either way. It could be x plus 4, thinking about it in terms of the first number that I would have to add 4 to it, or I could think about it in terms of just the previous number. The previous number was x plus 2, so I would just have to add 2 to that number to get to the next one. And you can see that this would simplify to x plus 4, because 2 plus 2 is 4. But either way that makes the most sense to you is the way you want to use it. I tend to use this one because I just know when I'm doing consecutive even numbers that I start with an x, and instead of x plus 1 and x plus 2, I say the next number is x plus 2 and x plus 4, because I have to be skipping because even numbers are skip counting. What about if I had consecutive odd numbers? And we'll just do easy ones here. And we'll just even do a fourth one. So if I have consecutive odd numbers, again, my first number is always x. This number is always x. So here is x. When I ask myself what would my second number be in terms of x, if I was going to look at x and add something to it to get to this number, I would be adding 2. Again, I'm skip counting, but this time I am just skip counting beginning with an odd number. 1 plus 2 does give me 3. So my 5, in terms of my x, if I want to represent that 5 in terms of my x, I would either take x plus 2 and add 2 to it, x plus 2 plus 2, or I would say that it is x plus 4. You're not going to write both of these because they're the same thing, but you would choose. This one is saying, well, let's take the number right before it and just add 2 more to it because we're skip counting. And 7 would be similar. In terms of x, I'm going to start with my x. I could look back here and say, what do I need to add to 1 to get clear up here to 7? Well, I would be adding 6. So I can say that this number is going to be x plus 6, or I can say it's going to be this one, which is x plus 4 plus 2. And you can see that 4 plus 2 gives me 6. So when I'm using when I'm told that I need to be looking for consecutive even or consecutive odd numbers, I'm again always going to be starting with x. But then my second value is going to be x plus 2. My third value is x plus 4. If I have a fourth value, if I have 4 numbers I'm looking for, my fourth one would be x plus 6. So let's do an example. Let's say that I am looking for 3 consecutive odd numbers that sum to 27. And again, sum means I'm going to be adding these 3 numbers together when I'm looking for a sum. Consecutive means they're going to come one right after the other in order, but these are all going to be odd. 3 odd numbers. So here's going to be 1, here's going to be another one, here's going to be my third one, and they all have to equal 27 when I add them together. So again, my first number is always x. Always, 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 and forever, you're going to start with x. And if we were just doing consecutive numbers that sum to 27, this one would be x plus 1, and this one would be x plus 2. But remember, we're skip counting. We're going by odd numbers, so we're skipping that one. So we're going right to x plus 2. So this is going to be x plus 2. Whatever this number is, it is my first number plus 2 more. This last number is going to be x plus 4. It's going to be this number plus 4 more. And again, just to use examples to clarify, if my numbers were 1, 3, and 5, and they are not because they do not sum to 27, but you can see that if I add 2 to my 1, I am going to get 3. If I add 4 to my 1, 1 plus 4, I am going to get 5. So regardless of what our numbers are, when we set it equal to 27, we should come up with our correct numbers. So I'm going to combine like terms. I have 1x, 2x, and 3x. 3 x's. And now I'm going to take my constants, my 2 and my 4. That makes 6, and set that equal to 27. Notice again that the number in front of my coefficient in front of my variable is the number of consecutive odd numbers that I'm summing. So, starting at the end of the order of operations, I'm going backwards in the order of operations. I'm going to start with whatever addition or subtraction I have in my equation. And I have addition, so I'm going to be subtracting 6 from each side, which means that I'm going to end up with 21 on this side and 3x on this side. So now I'm left with just x's on one side and numbers on the other. And if you remember from your hands-on algebra, this would be 3 blue pawns. So I've got 3 blue pawns on this side, and it is equal to 21. So I'm asking myself, 3 times what gives me 21? That's the same thing as taking 3x and dividing it by 3 and getting down to just what one pawn would equal to, or 1x. So we're dividing each side by 3. Do this a little differently. Divided by 3, that's going to just give me x is equal to 7. So the value of my x is 7. So let's look back at our original equation and see if that works. 7 plus 2, that would be 9, plus 7 plus 4, that would be 11. And you can see that these are consecutive odd numbers. They come in order when we are counting. Let's see if that equals 27. Well, here I have 20. 9 plus 11 is 20, plus 7 is 27. So my 3 numbers that are consecutive odd numbers are 7, 9, and 11.